We also have the description, which has the full description that we had typed in here. We can edit this, we can update it, we can delete it, we can remove it and put something else in its place, but we can work with this. And you can do that all by just just typing in here or highlighting and working with this text as if you were in a text editor mode. And that's really what we're in right now with these different fields. And this next section is keywords, and as you can see here we have keywords. Now probably the most common issue we run into, again with keywords, is that people either put too many commas or forget to put a comma in here with these keywords. But this is a very easy tool to use, and you can simply just type in the keyword here that you would like to place into your new keyword section, and just click the add button. And as you can see here, it's added in our new keyword water heater, and we can just keep on doing it. Now it's recommended to do it this way, but sometimes you might again have quite a few keywords, or you might rearrange keywords and so on. So you can definitely copy and paste into this field and work with your keywords that way. But one of the things again that people run into quite frequently is to remember to not put a comma after this last keyword, and make sure all of your other keywords have commas after them. And that's probably the biggest oversight that we see quite a bit in our support department. But again, these keywords are important because these are what people are searching for on the search engines, like water heater was a keyword. And these keywords show up the sites that compete with that keyword. And some keywords are pretty competitive or have fierce competition, and some don't have any. And that's one of the things that you will need to research and find within your market on the search engine is where your site might fall into with specific keywords, or what keywords to use, or what your competitors are using, so you can then compete with them on the web. So those are some things to keep in mind when you're working with keywords. We're going to go back here to our meta tag information now and continue on. One of the last things that we're going to cover here with this edit meta tag section is our robot instructions. Now, I mentioned before that this is only for the search engines, and it really is. Basically, there are some instructions on this page that is specific to the search engines, and we can tell them several things. One, we can tell the search engines that we either want them to pass over this page and either index the page and follow the page, or we want them to index the page and no follow. Now, what I mean by follow and no follow is really the links on the page. So we can tell the search engines that we would like them to index this page as part of their search engine, and follow all the links on this page and go to their destination, and possibly even index those pages and so on. Index no follow, we're basically telling the search engines we want this page indexed, but we don't want you to follow any of the links on the page, or we don't necessarily care for them to be indexed. Now, this is very popularly used within sites like blogs and many sites that have large links pages and things like that. Because really, when you start linking to a lot of websites, the search engines, they like to see those links to other websites, but they don't want their robots, which are pieces of code that they have that go out and search the web, scan the web for everything. They don't want them running in circles. So it's recommended that if you have a links page and you're linking to a whole bunch of other websites within your industry, or if you're linking to other websites or blogs and information sites, things like that, that you use the index no follow tag. But for all of your own links that link to your own web pages or to your own information, things like that, you want to make sure you use the index follow link. And again, really, that's just to be friendly to the search engines and not waste their resources, and helping them index the entire web efficiently, and again, not running circles. And some of our last options here are no index and follow, and no index, no follow. Basically, we're saying don't index this page, but follow the links on the page. And No index means we don't want them to index this page, and we don't want them to follow the links for no follow. So these are some of the robot instructions that we have for this particular page. Now, if you don't want to use any instructions on this page, you can say don't use. And basically, this will tell the search engines that we don't have any preferences or any instructions for them how to handle this page. Just handle it the way they prefer to, or their default, which is okay for most of the main or popular search engines, because again, they've been in the web business for quite a while, and they know how to handle websites. But again, they do give us some control as to how we want them to handle our particular pages on our website. So after we have specified these particular settings, our page title and our description, our keywords, and our robots instructions here all the way at the bottom, we can just go ahead and hit submit, and then go back to our Easy Page Manager page and see all of that information now updated within this section here. And you can see by the white check mark in the green circle that we have a page title, we have a page description, we have keywords, we have a sitemap, and we have robot instructions. So the next thing that we're going to cover now is how to set your sitemap, and we're going to go ahead now, and that is within your edit page options. So we're going to go ahead and click on that now, and this will pop up our window here for our page options. Now we're going to scroll down to the section that says Search Engine Sitemap. Okay? So the first thing that I'll bring your attention to within this section is, do we want this page included in the sitemap? Checkbox says yes. Without the check mark in the box, no. Now, why would you do that? Well, you might have a particular page that you're still working on, so you don't want it indexed on the search engines yet. You might have a particular page that you don't want anybody to see ever, and some of you might be scratching your head. Well, why would you ever want that? Well, there are people who create sites for internal either internal company work or personal information or storing information in there that they just for eyes only, different things like that. So information they don't want indexed on the search engines or for the general public to access or see would be a reason why you would uncheck this box and say we don't want this page included in the sitemap.
You might want to mention, though, that just because you don't check that box doesn't mean that they still won't find it somehow.
That's correct. All this is doing is this is making it so that when the search engines come to our site and in our sitemap file, this page isn't included. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody can't try to find the page or that the search engines may eventually pick it up and still index the page. So
yeah, you don't want to create a page and put all your passwords and credit card numbers on it and put and not check it and think that it's not going to show up on the search engines, because it still is publicly available, and there may be some way that it still ends up out there and somebody can find it.
Right. So there are other methods of actually making the page password protected so that nobody can actually view that information, but this is one step in that direction where you're not freely giving the search engines information about the site. It's not included in the sitemap. The next thing is the sitemap priority, and again, this is the priority of this page in relation to the other pages of the website. Now, I have to phrase it that way because that's how the search engines, or more in particular, that's how Google tells us that we need to, or this tells us how to handle the priority of a particular page. They really only want one or two at most pages to have a high priority. So like I said before, this might be something like your index page or your products and services page would have a high priority, but they don't want your entire site to have a high priority. You'll end up with quite a few problems if you do that, especially with the search engines. And so the best thing to do is select your pages with the high priority and then go through the rest of your site and prioritize the rest of your pages, whether it's the next notch down or so on, all the way through down to a low priority. And again, this is telling the search engines the priority or the relevance of your pages in relation to each other. Now, you might have a site that might have 1 or 2 high priority pages, and then maybe the rest might be the next notch down or the the middle notch. But because very rarely have I seen pages with low priority, but this is to help prioritize your website. And then we get to tell the search engines what this priority is and how, they do have the option of handling our website with how we tell them, but they can also do their own thing as well. And then the last thing is the change frequency, which is how often you update or change this web page. And the reason why this is important is, again, for the search engines. The search engine's main priority is delivering content that is relative and useful to the users of their search engines. And that's really what they really care about, or that's really what Google cares about. So they don't want a page that, is on the search engines for a few years, hasn't been updated, nothing's been done with it, and not very many people go to that site. So over time, it's either not going to show up on the search engines anymore, or it's going to show up, on one of the, page 80 of a search engine listing of a particular keyword. They like to see websites that are updated frequently and that are active. Now, there are sites out there that haven't been updated in 5 years, but they get a ton of traffic. And that tells the search engines that, hey, this is relevant information and it's still relevant today, 5 years later. So that page may still get a higher rank, higher listing on the search engines, things like that. So one of the important things for us to do is to place in here how often our particular web page gets updated. Does our web page get updated weekly? Maybe not, unless it was like a news site or a pretty active forum, or we're updating products there. Or is it updated daily? It could be. Maybe we have new products coming out daily. Maybe we change our ads and promotions every day, things like that. Hourly, probably more like a news or an RSS feed, website. But that doesn't mean that if you're pretty active on your website, you couldn't update a particular page hourly. Maybe you never update your page. It's static content. Maybe it's a question and answers page, and you really haven't had a need to update that information, over a long time. Just because you select never doesn't mean that the search engines won't give it a high priority and won't rank it well. Because, again, there are many factors that go into how they rank websites. But we do need to be as fairly honest as we can with the search engines as to how often we update a page. If the search engines come and scan our website monthly and we keep telling them that we update it monthly but we don't, then maybe over time they might adjust their algorithms or their pattern and may start treating our website a little differently compared to our competitors who may have it set to monthly and update it monthly. So these are some things to keep in mind. And then to go ahead and submit these changes, we can go ahead and scroll all the way down to the bottom here and click Submit. And it'll take us back to our Easy Page Manager. And we can see those new changes here with our priority and down here with our sitemap, and how often we update it, and the priority, and so on. So we have basically covered, within the Easy Page Manager webinar today, we have covered this new program here, Easy Page Manager, and an overview of all of these pages listed here and the different things that you can have specified for this, like the title, the description, and the keywords, and the sitemap and the robot instructions, and how they're handled with the search engines and where that information is displayed and what we can do with that information. And that pretty much concludes this webinar. So if you're still awake, then let's get some questions and answer them.
Okay, let me take control back here. Okay, you'll give me the screen back.